What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Reselling Freedom coaching call. And in today's call, we're going to be talking with the one and only Amanda. But Amanda, you hit $100,000 in sales recently. Talk to us about how long have you been selling on Amazon exactly? Is it a year and a half? And how did you get started? How did you learn about, the Amazon opportunity?
Yeah, so I've been doing it for a year and a half now. I started because I saw your TikTok video, just scrolling through, and it was like, oh, this guy, Steve, looks like I could do that. Like, why not? So then, I went down that rabbit hole. I went and watched all your videos. And then I just went through a bunch of other people who sell books. I'm like, I could do that. So when I downloaded all the, softwares and I just went out to my thrift store and I came out with like 30 books. And I'm like, okay, I could do this. And then, I just kept going and going. And I've got a lot of thrift stores around. And so I would just go in and get like 20 or 30 books every time I went. So it's like, to me, no one in my town is thrifting books. So I just saw that as a huge opportunity. And I just kind of haven't looked back since and just kept going.
So you're in the Washington area, Seattle area?
Yeah, I'm central Washington. So I'm about 3 hours from Seattle.
Got you. So you saw my TikTok, you saw me, flipping and thrifting books and whatnot. So you started doing that. Did you have like a disbelief of like, can I actually do this? And you went out there and you're like, I'm going to just try this. Or did you have a feeling, I think this is possible?
I was kind of like unsure if this was like the real thing. Like people tell you, all these gurus like make $1,000 on this game app or whatever. But I figured because I was putting in so much work that it had to work. Like I wasn't just sitting and playing a game. I wasn't just doing something and making money. I was actually going out and doing something and learning. And, I watched so many people on YouTube. They all had the same experience. And I put in the work and it just worked. I felt like I'm not doing this for nothing, right? At least I hoped I wasn't.
So were you making money in the beginning or were you struggling? What was it like those first couple of months? You went out, you're going to the thrift stores, you're buying all these books. Were you doing FBM, FBA? Were you making money? Were your books selling for a good amount of money? Were they selling for $5? Talk to us about, how that went in the beginning.
Yeah, so my first month I did $27 in sales or something. That's when me and you connected. I was like, I'm doing everything right, but it's not working and it has to work. I put so much energy and time into this. And luckily we were able to figure out I was just pricing all wrong. And then once I figured that out, things started selling and I did straight FBA. I didn't do FBM. And so, yeah, I just sent all my books in and they started selling.
I love how you were saying I was doing everything right when you were doing everything wrong. Like literally you were buying books that were like 5, 7, 8 million rank. You had books listed at like $4 and you had no idea how to tell like how much money you were making, so on and so forth. You weren't repricing anything.
I was not working smarter. I was working hard, not smart.
You thought you were doing it the right way when in all actuality, you were doing everything the wrong way.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to have a community of people to tell you when you're not doing it right, yesterday I've been kind of contemplating about making some changes and someone set up straight up to me was like, you're being an idiot. You're not doing the right thing. You're spinning your wheels. You're not going anywhere. Slow down. So it's nice to have somebody in the community who gives you that harsh truth of like, when you're not doing something smart and when you are doing something smart, because I thought I was doing everything right, but sometimes somebody's got to tell you you're not. So, and that's why this community is so amazing.
So right now you're doing a lot more than just books. You sell a ton of products. You've come a long way, and I don't want to spoil the surprise. We're going to get into that. But how did you transition from just going to thrift stores and books to now you're doing online arbitrage, you're doing eBay to Amazon, you're doing all this stuff. So again, take us back to when you were sourcing, talk about, how did you scale to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then why? And, why did you decide to transition to E to A and all these other things, the pros and cons? I would, kind of like you to take us back to that point, because there's a lot of people who they don't have money to do online arbitrage, eBay to Amazon, hire VAs, prep centers, which we're going to talk about. So, bring us back to that point. What happened?
My back, I have back issues, and books aren't light. They're not easy to lug around, and I was doing it all myself. And it just got to a point where my body just physically wasn't keeping up, which makes me so sad because I would probably be still doing books. Like, I know my thrift stores right now is a gold mine. Like, I'm leaving products there that I could be selling, but my back is like not gonna, and I can't do anything if I don't have my physical health. So that is really the only reason why I had to give up books, was because I physically couldn't anymore, which is so sad.
What was the most money you were making with books, like going out to thrift stores and stuff? Like, what did you get your sales up to with strictly books and thrifting and local pickups and all that?
I would say it was about 5,000 a month in books. Like, it was great, but I knew I could do better. You
Yeah.
have, Joji and Victor doing hundreds of, thousands and thousands a month, so it is possible.
Yeah, but they're doing online arbitrage. They're not
That's
thrifting.
true.
Like, they're doing zero thrifting. You were actually
Yeah.
out there thrifting, hitting the stores. How much time were you spending going out thrifting to get up to 5,000 a month in sales?
Well, it was kind of crazy because I still have my day job. So I'd work my day job from 5 to 1, and then I'd hit the thrift stores from like maybe 3 to 5 or 3 to 8, depending on how like I could tolerate it. So I was hitting them, I would say 40 hours a week. It was pretty, and then all day Saturday, all day Sunday, I travel, 45 minutes an hour to different locations. So I spent a lot of time. Which
Was
is
it
crazy.
worth it though? That seems like you were probably working for minimum wage. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're putting in that much time and then you have to list them, then you have to ship them, and on 5,000 in sales, like maybe you're making what, 3,000 in profit, maybe
Yeah.
3,500 if you're getting, items for $1 or so. Was it worth it looking back? Like, was that one of the reasons why you also transitioned to eBay to Amazon and online arbitrage to be able to leverage your time a bit more?
Absolutely. Like I knew I could reach 5,000, but it was so hard to reach that 5,000. There was so much sweat equity in there. And I just can't do that forever. And so, and then eBay to Amazon came along, and I'm like, yes, please. I can do so much better, so much better products. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because this was a while ago. So you've been doing this all together, what, a year and a half or so?
Yeah.
When
Since
did you start
August of-
eBay to Amazon?
So I started, my first shipment was in August of 2022. I started eBay in December of 2022.
Oh, wow. So only about 4 months after. You learned quite quickly. This is killing my back. This is taking a ton of time.
Yeah.
You were making money, but you had no life.
Right. Oh, no, I had no life. What was that?
Yeah. And when you transitioned to eBay to Amazon, were you doing only books or were you doing a lot of products? I'm curious about how that went for you.
I did do a lot of books. I made a mistake and bought a leads list on books, and hundreds of people bought that leads list.
Wasn't that Fiverr?
Yeah.
You're crazy. I love it though. You're trying things. You never know.
And
But
a lot of people recommended this person. And so like my close friends recommended this person. They said, "Oh, I've never had a product tank." Well, this one tanked, and I bought probably like 60 books, all tanked. And so because of that, I decided I'm gonna move on from books because just can't do it. It is so easy, and you're able to flip a $5 book for 35. Easy, no problem, like on Flipmine. But when you're doing it from a leads list, it's not that simple.
yeah,
So,
people talk up leads lists all the time. Like, lead lists are great until you send all your stuff in and, you're rolling the dice. You're playing Russian roulette. You don't know if it's, if you're going to have a bunch of people come on the listing and tank the price. It's like you're either in first or you're out last many times. And if you're getting in with like a lot of books, how it is with books, same with DVDs. Matter of fact, a lot of products that we flip from eBay to Amazon, they're not selling a ton. We're going after slower selling stuff. We don't have invoices. We're trying to ride low underneath the radar. If you only have a product that's selling 4 or 5 times a month and you get 50 people to come on the listing, that thing may never recover.
It will never sell, which I did that many times.
So when's the right time for somebody to look into eBay to Amazon or Amazon to Amazon? Again, this isn't a whole like, oh, you should go do eBay to Amazon, do whatever you want, right? But for you found it beneficial because you were able to do it from home. You didn't have to break your back. You obviously work a job as well. So it's good to be home, spending time with your husband, family, all that stuff. So, what's your best advice for folks who, maybe they don't want to be going out thrifting and hitting garage sales all the time? Like, how did you transition? Because it costs more money to do online arbitrage versus thrifting. So what was your mindset? How did you make that switch?
I just knew I could spend more time at home sourcing online, and that was important to me. And I did know there'd be more capital involved, but there's more money to also be made. The saying goes, the more you spend, the more you make, which I feel like is true. If I spend $80 on a product, I'm probably going to get an 80 or 100% ROI on that. Like, for me, that's worth it. I will spend that all day, but it does take time to get there. I just think it comes down to trusting yourself and what works for you. For me, it was eBay to Amazon. For other people, it might be traditional OA, or they might go from books to doing traditional retail arbitrage. It really you just have to find out who you are and like what your mindset is. For me, it was eBay to Amazon just because I liked it.
I think you did things right, though. You learned how to sell books and products on Amazon. You learned how to list. You learned how to ship. You learned how to do it on a budget. And that's the greatest thing about thrifting and garage sales and local pickups and estate sales. You can buy products on a budget. And it's funny how a lot of resellers, especially thrifters, they think they're really good at running a business. But the thing is, yeah, you're able to find items and scan items and find good deals, but your cost of goods is so low, you can mess up all other areas of your business and still make money because you're finding your product so low. But once you start doing like what you're doing, where your cost of goods isn't 8% of your expenses anymore, now it's, 30%, 40%, you have to really run a tight ship. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I thought I really appreciated the way you did things. You learned the basics. You learned how to list and ship and source and know your numbers. And then you slowly moved on to it. When do you advise people start E to A or A to A or OA? Like 3 months in, 6 months in, a year in? Do you feel like you got into it too early, too late?
I don't think so. I think I did a lot of, from, August to December is not a long time. Some people will say, oh no, you need 6 months or whatever. But I made mistakes and I learned from them and I just kept going. And I just think that books is so easy to start with because your mistakes are $1 or $2. They're not $80. So, and it just teaches you how to like read the keybograft and what you might have missed before. And then you learn from that and keep going. And that is what I love about books, is it taught me so much about what to avoid.
But Amanda, how are you thrifting and doing local pickups and garage sales and eBay to Amazon without invoices? How is your account still alive, Amanda? Everybody says it's not possible. All the OA and wholesale guys and gals say, you can't thrift. You can't do E to A. You can't do A to A. You're going to get kicked off. How's your account health right now? I actually don't know.
It's perfect. Like, I've had no issues, nothing. And, people say that. And when we're at the Miami Seller Conference, I asked, these guys who've been selling for years, how many times have you been asked for an invoice? And they say once or twice. In like 5 years, once or twice. Like, why are we I feel like we're so paranoid for such a small percentage. And you just have to kind of do your due diligence. Don't sell a hot top or a hot selling item. I like selling items that sell 15 times a month. Like, for some people, that's insane. For traditional OA, that's insane. That would never sell.
That's high for me.
Huh?
I don't even sell items that hot either. Mine are mostly 5 to 10 times a month. Sorry to cut you off, but I agree.
No, yeah. Like, I just don't think that companies care about these, slower selling, um, you know,
Yeah, under the
older
radar
issued
products.
items. Yeah.
Yeah, discontinued, vintage. But the reality is, at the end of the day, like we're kind of sticking it to the haters right now. But the reality is, you
Yeah.
do have to be careful. The reality is, if you come into any type of product from a thrift store, garage sale, hey, you could have bought it 5 years ago and sell it from your house, eat it, ate it. Doesn't matter. If it's a super hot selling product, if the storefront's on it, if the Keepa chart is showing the number of sellers have dropped off, if IP alert is warning you, if it's a super hot product, it's so funny. I see these people on TikTok and YouTube, and they're going into Marshalls and all that, and they're scanning items, and they're showing like, I could pick this up for 17 and flip it for 50, and it sells 80 times a month. There's only one seller on it. It's the storefront. It's like, but the people love it. They eat it up, but nobody says anything to them. You think a freaking Marshalls receipt is going to work?
Or you see the user counts just like skyrocket and the buy box is starting to go down. They don't show you that.
Yeah.
That's
It's the Amazon space is like a clown show sometimes, but you do have to, at the end of the day, you have to learn what to do. Like, you have to learn how to read a Keepa chart. You have to learn what products to stay away from without invoices, so on and so forth. What types of products are you flipping? Okay, so you started with books, you kind of got out of that, you were breaking your back, and you're like, listen, some of these things are tanking, which books are great, right? I have a lot of students and friends who flip books, but I know you flip a lot of other products. So give us your secrets, give us your hidden gems, give us your top selling, most profitable ASINs, Amanda.
My most profitable is, I think, electrical item. It's a converter or reverse something. Yeah, it's an electronic. I don't even know what it is. Or what it does, but it sells really well every time. But no, yeah, I sell a lot of electronics. I sell a lot of DVDs, board games. Board games are amazing during Q4. And I want to get into, different categories, but those are my main ones: the electronics, DVDs, CDs, and stuff like that. Yeah, I just kind of keep it small.
You ever flip like puzzles or records, CDs?
No, I used to flip vinyl, but vinyl's so hard because it's such, and maybe this is kind of where like the prep center came in, because vinyls are so big that they wouldn't fit in the boxes that I had. So then you got to kind of like, well, I can't put it in this type of box because it's too big according to Amazon. And so just getting it shipped into Amazon was a nightmare just because of the size.
So we're going to be talking about prep centers, but before that, I want to talk about something big that you implemented into your business. I think this might have been, 6 months ago. You've been growing so quickly. You hired a virtual assistant. How long ago was that? Was that 8 months ago? 6 months
I hired her in June. So 10 months.
Wow, 10 months. So talk about that, right? Talk about, what is a virtual assistant? Why did you hire a virtual assistant, and what do they do in your business?
Absolutely. So I had initially hired 2 virtual assistants, and I'm down to 1. And I loved hiring 2 at the get-go. Because all 3 of us were so new to this. I was their first client, they were my first. So it was just kind of a learning experience. And the one I had to let go gave me so many red flags from the start that I just ignored and I made excuses for.
Like she had another employer?
She did. She had another employer. And she wasn't performing. And every time I talked to her, she wouldn't change. She just came with excuses. And so that to me was a learning experience on how to communicate and how to be clear on the expectations. So even though it sucked letting someone go, in the end, I learned so much about myself and how to communicate what they expect, what I expect.